Welcome everyone, Simon here from the Wales of Wall Street. We've got an XRP video here today for you guys. Also a touch on some really interesting points that have come out in the last 24 hours from the US Congress in relation to the crypto/blockchain bill that is being passed through Congress right now, putting itself in line with what the UK had done a few weeks back when we covered that on the video that we did relating to the King's assent or the King's approval towards the utilization of digital currencies, including stablecoins and other aspects of blockchain technology being able to be regulated and passed by law as usage in the UK. The US is following suit, and I'm sure many others around the world will continue to do so. Before we go into the topic further, don't forget to smash that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Welcome back. If you have been with us before, welcome if you are new to the channel. Guys, let's go straight into this one. So this is what it's all about. The US Congress has passed through the crypto bill. This is dubbed a while back, I believe it was called something around like the actual Blockchain Act. We'll go into that in a bit more detail in a second. But this is approving a pair of bills that could finally deliver some regulatory clarity to crypto firms. Now, this isn't quite just as the King kind of signing off. This is very much pushing itself through to get the final sign-offs eventually. We will go into the other acts in a moment's time, but this is massive, guys, because this defines the regulatory frameworks that allow people to utilize cryptocurrencies, utilize the exchanges correctly, etc., diminish things like fraud and the ability for companies to come in and out and take everyone's money, do runners, etc. It's going to change the face of how crypto is looked at from the outside, and certainly will definitely increase the adoption, more people coming into the space, and more importantly, certainly from the utilization perspective of some of these tokens and chains, more businesses will come in now that this is coming into fruition. This is what we were talking about here, the Blockchain Regulatory Certainty Act. This relates to these two parts here, HR 5045, and we've also got the other one here, which is relating to Digital Asset Market Structure and Investor Protection Act. This is still, I believe, in progression. It's this one predominantly that's taking the eyes of everyone right now to confirm that we are on a very interesting path indeed, as the topic around CBDCs, stable coins and cryptocurrency continue to shake things up around the world. The new financial system is due in November 2025, replacing the old RTGS with the new integration of blockchain, the ISO 20022 compliance and messaging services as well. Things are looking rosy for the future. Now, of course, the markets at the moment aren't showing that. We know things are going on around the world, interest rates, hikes, inflation, obviously the crazy battles, etc., this, that, and the other, commodities, you name it, still out there. So we're still in this winter/bear market. However, I would argue that the prominent projects out there, especially the ones that are related to the financial infrastructures around the world, are the ones even within a winter market, as long as the news there and the narratives there and the understanding of what they're trying to achieve and are doing in regards to integrations, etc., they're the ones that are going to really shine in these bad periods. But also, as the next sort of 6, 12, 18 months come along and that cycle switches around towards that 2025 marker, this is where it's going to get really exciting, and these numbers will just increase significantly. We're going to see new all-time highs, crazy prices for a lot of these projects, and hopefully shifts out some of the nonsense ones that are out there as well. And particularly, that theory is backed by the fact that many governments and parliamentary aspects around the world are starting to put these regulations together, these frameworks together to protect consumer investors, wholesale investors, you name it, across the board. And this is what we've been waiting for, really, because there's a bit of a balancing act of, do we want regulation because crypto is so free and we can make loads of money off it? But equally, we've seen whether it was kind of forced or not, the FTX situation, some of the other banks falling apart, etc. You know, where is the protection of people putting their money into these things that aren't regulated, they're not protected or insured? This swings that around, and that's why the mass adoption will come in, because trust comes in. That's why we trust our banks, because of the aspect of them having the depositories, etc. I don't trust banks massively, to be honest, but the fact of the matter is, if you put them side by side, the banks have a much heavier duty over the last couple of 100 years, if you like, versus crypto that's still quite new. So this is a massive development. It's exciting, and certainly not finished yet. Yes, these bills and these laws are being passed, but the frameworks still need to be finalised and developed fully. It's just basically giving the authorization and the approval to go, yeah, we can start using this stuff, but you guys need to just fix up these bits and pieces here. The other point about the timing of this, the coincidence side of it, is something that we talked about with Lewis Jackson on his channel a couple of weeks ago, and more recently. The timing of everything's very important. The narratives are very important. We've seen the SEC situation with XRP. We've seen the announcements from the UK side of things in terms of the law relating to cryptocurrency and stablecoin and CBDC usage. We're now seeing this in the US. The European Union and certainly European Commission, when it comes to blockchain, will definitely come out with this at some point very soon as well. And we're seeing across the world, giant pilots, 9 out of 10 banks worldwide are utilising or piloting CBDC systems. It's all part of this narrative towards that 2025 movement. And then the 5 years beyond that, 5, 10 or so years, will be significantly massive for the financial industry and the way we buy and sell things. And bear in mind as well, guys, this does consider the NFT application as well, not pieces of art. I'm talking about physical NFTs, housing, real estate, commercial estate. We're talking about cars, diamonds, you name it, across the board. And loads of these chains boast 10,000, 50,000 transactions per second. This is going to change the economy forever. There's arguments to say things like CBDCs and other elements of cryptography within the financial system will remove interest rates, it will remove inflation, it will remove debts. Big point here, the US surpassed, literally last month, $32 trillion debt. And there's always the talk around the World Economic Forum and the Davos agendas over the last few years about the Great Reset. Does that mean we're going to diminish all debt completely and start again? Everything's on the new AI blockchain algorithms, supply, demand, everything you could possibly think of. Or are they going to balance those? The Digital Pound Foundation events that I've been at recently suggest that we will have the cash, or even the cash as a digital form, if you like, operating alongside things like CBDCs and stablecoins. For now, that might change in the future, obviously, as more and more people adopt this kind of thing. Look how cashless society accelerated. Do you know, I think it was something like 14,000% acceleration of cashless society, or cashless usage, after the pandemic, when many people said, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. We've said the same about biometrics, we've said the same about AI and our privacy, our facial recognition, but they're coming in and they always have the solutions. They create a problem, implement the solution, everyone's happy, or certainly gets used to it, or forced to get used to it. Same with the banks falling apart. We have no option but to now go fully digitalized. Can't talk to anyone. It's all robotics on the answer phones and things. This is the transformation, guys. This was all about the Great Reset and how they changed the economy, how they digitalize everything, how we transform ourselves, how we operate ourselves is moving in a very strange, partially dystopian way, in my opinion. But the fact of the matter is there are pros and cons for all of this. And I try and sit on the fence as much as possible. But the exciting part from an investor's perspective is the projects that we're involved with or talk to or invest in have got significant collateral here. This is an article from literally 2 days ago. The Republic of Palau partners with Ripple to pilot a US dollar-backed stablecoin. Now, stablecoins are obviously pegged typically to existing monetary systems, or at least some form of commodity that is very stable, usually gold. But it's it's much less volatile. In fact, it's very much that 1-to-1 ratio that you would see in a pound or a dollar, unless something significant around the world, changed that, obviously. But it's basically like the digitalization of a pegged system. And this is definitely something that's going to be regulated fully across the world. It's certainly something that can be done quite quickly. And I think you'll find a lot of adoption, certainly within banks. From an interoperable perspective, banks talking to other banks will probably use stablecoins, and just the fluctuation of cross-border payments and things like this. So XRP Ledger is phenomenal when it comes to things like cross-border payments. We know projects like Quant take care of lots of interoperability perspectives. There's so many. And it's an exciting time, as I said, as an investor, because all these things are coming together. The operation of CBDCs, stablecoins, whether we like them or dislike them, the fact of the matter is the projects that we're invested in are very much powering a lot of these systems. Some you can't invest in, like Hyperledger Fabric, etc., or R3 Corda, but at least in the ecosystem you can. We've seen even recently with XDC, after the digital trade finance laws passing here in the UK, XDC's price went phenomenal, as did Ripple's in the SEC situation over the last couple of weeks. That's kind of removed the shackles slightly, but I said with Lewis Jackson a couple of weeks ago that, you know, this will become a big reality over time for sure. It's not going to click your fingers and happen overnight. This has been talked about a long time. It's been in fruition for a long time. But it is definitely something that you can start now seeing the path. If you didn't see it before, hopefully you're seeing it now for sure. And we're going to see more and more of this. And as more countries and more regions around the world open up their regulatory frameworks, they create the laws within, this is where it ticks. It ticks into positivity and that bull cycle kicks back in. And I truly believe that it would be giantly led, predominantly with a bit more AI again, like it was earlier this year, but I think it would be truly led by the actual financial side of things, the financial related projects and technologies out there, and it will be driven by CBDCs, because more and more people will hear about CBDCs in the media and the advertising community, bus stops, whatever, as they will with basic universal income and all the other weird stuff coming, and they'll look at this and go, oh, this sounds amazing, oh, I wonder if you can invest in this, or work out who's powering it, and that's when it all kicks in. Crypto in general went crazy, obviously, in 2021. Loads of people had no idea what they're doing, jumped in, and we've all been there, for sure. Even I have, in the first cycles that I got involved with 4 or 5 years ago, whenever it was, and certainly in 2020, it was quite fun. But this is all to come, guys. And with the regulation, with law, and governments coming out saying, yeah, this is safe, we can use this, blah, 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 what do you think is going to happen? And when digital apps come out, which we know a lot of the projects that we talk about are involved with. I've been with the Digital Pound Foundation events where we know that the Bank of England, etc., back in December here in the UK, opened up to a load of companies, said, we want someone to create the framework and the API systems for a digital wallet that is going to operate the digital pound. 6-7 months later, we don't know still yet who's got that contract. We know that one has been picked. There's a couple of ideas around who that might be, but the point being is that the time is coming, and it's coming sooner than people think. And I do believe by November 2025, which we've covered in a multitude of videos, with that framework of timing, if you like, of all these systems coming into play, the RTGS system, integration of blockchain, etc., is coming in those timeframes. And all of these things, ironically, are happening literally around 18 months before. Why? Because it takes a bit of time for the integrations, the API systems, the piloting, the trialing, you name it, the testing. It's all been done. It's all been done for a long time. Whether people go, oh, will there be a CBDC or not? There is 100% one coming. I've been to enough events this year at the government level to tell you that it's coming. The likes of the head of technology of Ripple, technology of Bank of England, etc., being here with Visa, MasterCard, everyone's there. And you're going, wow, okay, this is pretty weird, but also cool at the same time. But just to cover off that topic, as we covered a few weeks back, the regulation, financial activity, the markets bill, the financial services market bill, essentially it was called the Blockchain Act, if you like, back in the day, a few years back in the UK, all coming into fruition. The US are following suit, it's trying to catch up. Bear in mind, as I said, China, Russia have been ahead of this game for a long time. And we're now trying to scramble around, trying to get the authorization of regulation and law. And this is what will take it forwards for sure. That was a bit of a rhyme there. SEC appeal could amplify Ripple win, says Ripple Labs legal chief. This is something to consider, guys, that potentially an appeal could come in and bring that Ripple price back down. Who knows? But it's a game. I've always said it's theatre. I've said it's a game. I truly believe that the SEC and XRP, etc., were working together, or Ripple, to try and make sure the dollar was dominating its reserve status for the rest of the world if it comes into a digital fully format in the coming years. And that suppression of price, like the government holds Bitcoin, as we know, who knows what's going on behind closed doors. But the fact of the matter is, just be cautious out there, because we are still in limbo with a lot of things. The news, great news comes out, everyone follows it, but they actually don't realise that obviously by law, etc., there are opportunities for a potential appeal. So just keep that in mind. But on that note, we've got to be excited as investors on the point of price. let's go into the chart really quickly on this one as well. So obviously the last few weeks have taken XRP to some really good heights. I think we went all the way up to around 94 cents, excuse me, like 2 seconds, there we go. So we can see this uprise here, which is fantastic to see on the chart. It's been a long time coming really with XRP. I've seen so many videos over the last 3 years of, oh, the court case is finishing tomorrow, today, tomorrow, yesterday. Boring, go away. I said this for ages, like it will finish when it finishes. And ironically, it pretty much came out of nowhere with hardly any warning whatsoever. So we went from these lowish middle ground prices around 50 cents, which I was accumulating here and there as I saw that stability kicking in. Unfortunately, I missed a lot of opportunity around at the slightly lower regions back in March of 36, but I was still pretty happy because I think XRP is going to be a phenomenal asset moving forward. Sublime amounts of dollars worth of value here that we're talking about, especially when it all gets switched on fully. But the point being is we had a nice rise upwards from these points here at 46 all the way up to 93, 94. It slowly stabilized itself with a bit of fluctuation there, pulling itself back up to 82, and now we're kind of floating around the 70. This matches with some of the longer range fib retracement levels that we've seen. You can also see one of the longer term ones where the big point up there was 97. I think we got to around 94. It's fairly accurate to suggest that that's very much nearly in line. But the point being is that there just wasn't enough volume coming in or confidence to pull us up, because if it did, and we messed about with that $1 mark, we could potentially have been pushing up to the $1.20. That's not to say that that might happen or not happen in the short term again, because it might do a refire upwards to test or retest that area. But in my honest opinion, I could honestly see some stabilization here at their 70 for quite some time. But if it didn't and that confidence dropped, or some news came out about pills, for example, we could probably retest that sort of 60 cent to 55 cent mark, which takes us back down to these lower regions of the fib levels on 3 of the different variations that I've got on here for long, middle and short term aspects too. So don't be surprised to see that. I'm just going to draw that in as well, just for reference for any future videos, but that's definitely a potential opportunity for a buyback in order. It's certainly an area that I'm interested in. And if this stabilizes over the next month or so, for the long-term aspiration with my holdings of XRP, I'm not angry to be at 70 cents. I would just be angry in my head because I'm comparing it to the half cost that we saw 3, 4, 5 months ago. But as I said, in the grand scheme of things, if this is a $5, $10, $100, whatever, you can even look at 70 cents and go, wow, this is a crazy steal. For anything under $1, I've kind of always said along the line of XRP is absolutely phenomenal. And just remember, the last big bull cycle that we had was around the sort of $2 mark. So even from its current position is almost a double opportunity. With the acceleration of mass adoption, the actual full utilization of XRP as a token, this could significantly increase. I'd anticipate a minimum of $5 to $7 in this next bull run towards 2025, in my opinion. Let us know what you think about that and what your thoughts are on price predictions below around that period of time. You've just got to accumulate all the data that you see in front of you, previous historic trend, but as I said, it's also about what goes on in the real world will define this going up significantly higher. So that's just something to bear in mind. From a buying perspective, I'm not touching it too much until I see a bit of stability over the next week. The 14-day is showing on the RSI bottom left 58, 20-day is showing 59. It's a bit too high for me personally. So from the risk management perspective, I'm just going to hold tight for a bit longer. But look at those greens on the right hand side here performance-wise. Understandably, because the last week or so has been absolutely phenomenal. So it's slightly skewed in that instance. It was still doing all right, even when it was just stabilizing around this sort of 50 odd 45 cent mark. But you can see there's a bit of neutrality now in the technical aspect here on the performance indicator. It kind of confirms what I said, that I'm just going to wait a bit. I'm not suggesting that it's going to sell off significantly in the interim or even buy rapidly. I just want to see a bit of stability before I do a bit more DCAing on this opportunity with XRP. That's very much a bit of a wraparound for XRP overall. As I said, let us know your comments about anything that we discussed here at all topic-wise, but also the XRP token price points, anything you want at all. I think it's fascinating. I don't cover XRP too much, certainly through the SEC situation, because it's got incredibly boring and stabilized, but now we're seeing some traction here, not just in the price, but actually finally the shackles being removed. Let's see what develops over the coming days and weeks with XRP. We'll capture that information as we go along. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next XRP video very soon. Bye bye.